On a quiet street in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, at 50 Old Colony Road sits a vacant lot that once housed the mansion of billionaires Barry and Honey Sherman. The home, demolished in May of 2019, a year and a half after the chilling double murder of one of Canada's wealthiest couples, sits an empty site and serves as a reminder of the tragedy that unfolded on the night of December 15th, 2017. Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of What Happened. It began on February 25th, 1942, when Bernard Charles Sherman, also known as Barry, was born to parents Herbert and Sarah Sherman. In November 1965, at the age of 46, his father, who was a partner in a successful zipper company, died suddenly of a heart attack when he was only 10 years old. Following the death of his father, his mother pursued a career as an occupational therapist, graduating from the University of Toronto. Her brother Louis Lloyd Winter, who was a biochemist and owner of Empire Laboratories, acted as a father figure to the young Barry. During the summers, he worked at Empire, owned by his uncle, which at the time was the largest pharmaceutical company in Canada. There, he worked as a driver, picking up urine samples for pregnancy tests and performed other duties as needed. He was also tasked with helping to watch over operations when his uncle traveled out of town. As a student at Forest Hill Collegiate Institute, he would go on to win a national physics contest and would eventually graduate at the top of his class. In 1958, at the age of 16, he entered the University of Toronto's Engineering Science program. He graduated from the program in 1964 with the highest honors in his class and received the university's Governor General's Award for his thesis. He then went on to enroll at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, from which he received a PhD in astrophysics in 1967. On November 5th, 1965, his beloved uncle passed away at the age of 41 from a suspected aneurysm at St. Joseph's Hospital in Toronto. 17 days later, on November 22nd, his wife Beverly also passed away at the same hospital from terminal leukemia, leaving behind four young sons: Carrie, Paul, Dana, and Jeffrey. Despite conversations he'd had with his Aunt Beverly regarding the future of Empire Laboratories, no decisions had been made as to whom would run the company should anything happen to her. Unfortunately, she passed away before any final determinations were made. 2 years later, in 1969, Sherman, along with friend and business partner Joel Oster, borrowed $450,000 from their parents to purchase Empire Laboratories from the executors of his uncle's estate. The purchase agreement with the estate allowed Sherman to buy a majority stake in the company and run it only on condition that the four Winter children, who were his first cousins, be allowed to work for the company when they reached the age of 21. They would also have the option to buy 5% stake in the company with 15-year royalties on four of its patented products. The agreement would only be void if Sherman sold the company. Empire Laboratories was the first company to secure the rights to manufacture the drug Valium in Canada. It was also one of the country's largest manufacturers of Pfizer's Vibromycin, which is used to treat infections, Oronase, a diabetic drug, which is no longer available in the United States, and the dietary sweetener saccharin, also known as Sweet and Low. In 1970, he invested in the American firm Barr Laboratories with U.S. based partners, which became its largest shareholder and where he served as Barr's president. He would eventually control a third of its stock, and the company would go on to win the first rights to manufacture generic versions of Eli Lilly's Prozac, which helped to significantly increase sales and grow the business. That same year, Sherman met Honey Wright, a University of Toronto student, and a year later, on July 2nd, 1971, they would marry and go on to have four children: Lauren, Jonathan, Alexandra, and Kaylin. In 1972, Sherman and Oster sold Empire to Valiant Pharmaceuticals, making the agreement between he and the Winters estate null and void. A year later, he started Apotex with a few former employees of Empire, and the business was incorporated in 1974. Today, it is the largest pharmaceutical company in Canada, known for its production and distribution of generic and branded pharmaceuticals. It employs nearly 8,000 people in over 115 countries, selling over 300 products, and its annual estimated sales exceeds $2.5 billion. Over the years, Sherman invested in other non pharmaceutical business ventures, all of which failed, costing him millions of dollars. Many of the investments turned out to be fraudulent or schemes with shady partners. It was often said that he was too generous and trusting, failing to do his due diligence. He and his wife were extremely charitable, donating millions of dollars to charities including the United Way, Mount Sinai Hospital, and the United Jewish Appeal. He was also known for loaning money to his employees who needed financial assistance. Although many considered him to be good and kind, others described him as deplorable with no redeeming qualities. Many claim that he gouged Canadians with high drug prices, paying more for generic drugs than any other country, and that many cannot afford to buy them. Apotex engaged in prolonged litigation involving numerous lawsuits that extended several years. At the time of his death, the company had initiated approximately 1,200 cases against the government in federal court. The legal actions resulted in significant costs for Canadian taxpayers, mounting to millions of dollars in legal fees. In 2011, Sherman's cousins sued him for allegedly never paying them royalties and equity in Apotex, concluding that he had used the proceeds from the 1972 sale of Empire Laboratories to purchase his company. The cousins sought 21% interest in Apotex or damages of $1 billion. Following the filing of the lawsuit, Sherman withdrew millions of dollars in financial support previously provided to his cousins. They alleged that Sherman's financial assistance over the years was a tactic to prevent them from discovering their entitlements to the business and to keep them dependent on him. After a lengthy court battle, in September 2017, an Ontario Superior Court justice ruled against the cousins, stating that the case was wishful thinking and beyond fanciful. They were ordered to pay Barry Sherman $300,000 in legal fees, which was only a third of what it had cost him to defend himself against what he believed was a frivolous lawsuit. Just a few months later, 75-year-old Barry Sherman and his 70-year-old wife, Honey, were found strangled to death in the basement pool area of their North York home. Earlier that year, the Shermans decided to sell their longtime home on Old Colony Road in preparation of moving to a new house they were building in Forest Hill, which was closer to downtown Toronto where many of their friends resided. On December 13, 2017, Honey and Barry met in his office at Apotex to discuss design changes to their new house before leaving for a holiday trip to Miami. It was the last time the couple were ever seen alive. Later that evening, after returning home, Sherman sent an email to his staff about a drug the company was developing. The next day, December 14th, he did not show up at work, which according to employees was unusual for him. The following morning, on December 15th, cleaning staff let themselves into the Sherman's home with a key from a lockbox that had been recently installed. Shortly after, real estate agent Elise Stern, who was showing the mansion to her Chinese clients, noticed what she thought were two mannequins near the pool area. As they looked through the large glass door of the entrance, two bodies were visible on the steps leading to the pool, which they initially assumed was a Halloween prank. Upon further examination, the agent was shocked to discover the lifeless bodies of her clients Barry and Honey Sherman. Barry was found seated with his legs crossed on the pool deck, while Honey lay on her side with a visible bruise on her face. Their arms were restrained by coats draped over their shoulders, and they were fully dressed, positioned away from the water. Honey's cell phone was discovered in a bathroom that friends reported she rarely used, suggesting she may have gone there in an effort to evade the perpetrator. A window had been left open to ventilate a newly painted room, and the basement door was unlocked, which may have been a point of entry. According to police, there were no indication of forced entry into the home, and due to injuries on Honey's face, detectives initially believed Barry Sherman murdered his wife, then killed himself. In the coming weeks and months, many theories arose as to who could have committed the crime. Some believed his cousins, who had sued and lost the case against Barry, may have had something to do with the murders. His children were also included as initial suspects in the case. After a final autopsy, it was concluded that the couple's cause of death was homicide. According to an anonymous source from the family's investigative team, it was determined that the couple were murdered, strangled by belts after their hands were bound and tied. On January 26, Toronto police, in their investigation, concluded that the couple had been killed in a targeted attack. After a thorough investigation, which family believed was lacking, police, who previously concluded the couple had been killed early on December 15th, now believed the murders had occurred 2 days earlier, within hours of the Shermans returning home on the night of December 13th. Several years later, on December 14, 2021, Toronto police finally released security camera footage of a suspect. In the video, a person dressed in dark clothing could be seen walking at night down a snow-covered sidewalk near the Sherman home. The time coincides when police believe the murders took place, and though they were unable to identify the person in the video, he is still considered a suspect in the homicides. The house where the murders took place was demolished in May of 2019, and the land was purchased in 2020 by a young woman nearby who put it on the market in 2023. The address has also been changed from 50 to 48 Old Colony Road. The Sherman's legacy includes significant contributions to healthcare and philanthropy. Today, the vacant lot where the Sherman Mansion at 50 Old Colony Road once stood is a silent witness to a story of success, generosity, and an unresolved tragedy. Despite the valiant efforts of law enforcement over the years, the case remains unsolved. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can be the first to know what happened